Normally we just randomly pick bumper music, but Monica told us this is her walk-on music. And we wanted to honor that as we get ready to go for this. And studio with us now here on SuperTalk Mississippi in the Element Wealth Studios, the president and CEO of Special Olympics Mississippi, Monica Daniels. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for the musical intro. Loved it.
Well, you brought it and handed it to him and said, play this. So, okay, sorry. I'm giving away the secrets right at the beginning. That's not good. How are you doing today?
I'm great. We're getting ready for our 37th year of summer games at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, with over 700 athletes and unified partners across the state.
That is fantastic. Now, let's just state the obvious right up front. This is an enormous amount of work, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. And I just want to go ahead and give credit where credit is due. This would not happen for 1 year, much less 37 years, if it were not for every individual at Keesler Air Force Base. When this partnership was forged long before my time, these individuals and wing commanders and everyone who sets foot on that base opens their doors, opens their barracks, opens their cafeterias. People are presenting medals. They're judging relay races. And we wouldn't be able to do it, and we wouldn't be able to offer Olympic quality experience for 700 athletes that are going to show up next week. So big shout out to Keesler.
Well, and that's the thing. This is an enormous event, especially for the athletes that are going to show up. Well, for people that have never really seen anything about it or heard anything about it, walk us through what is going to happen next week.
So starting let me back up. Monday of this week, our members of the Law Enforcement Torch Run, so police officers that belong to a group called Guardians of the Flame, will light the Olympic torch in the very northeast corner of Mississippi. And they will run that torch every day until opening ceremonies Friday night at 6:30 p.m., when they will be met with an athlete who will run onto base and light the cauldron. And that will declare 2023 Summer Games officially open. We do an opening ceremonies. The athletes walk in. There's a banner competition. They make big posters. They get awards for who has the best banner. We have an athlete who sings and performs, and then an athlete says the athlete oath, declares the games open. And Saturday morning, rise and shine. It starts with over 12 individual and team sports that go all day long, and volunteers are presenting gold, silver, bronze medals. They have to earn it. They have to qualify to even get there in their local area. And all of this is at no cost to the athlete and their family. So we are behind the scenes making sure that everything is secured so this experience can happen.
So now the actual games themselves, do they all happen on that one day?
They all happen on Saturday. Mm-hmm.
So it's a one-day event, aside from the part where we've got folks that are running the length diagonally of the state of Mississippi. Yes. I am tired just saying that.
I know. They're amazing. They're amazing. And so the athletes show up on Friday, so they get to check in. They get to go to a dorm room. They get to be on their own, independent, stay with a friend. And then
that's huge.
That is huge.
That is so huge.
And every athlete is paired with a newly recruited airman at Keesler. So the experience the entire weekend is what we call inclusive, because we've moved a long way from the 1970s when Special Olympics was really more of a social awe moment where everybody ran a 50-yard dash and got a hug and a ribbon. And now we're a competitive sports organization because we were underestimating individuals with intellectual disabilities. And they're competitive and they're good. So when they meet their airmen, it's always interesting to watch the dynamic, because I think the airmen and women assume, well, I'm normal. This is going to be my job for the weekend. And they end up by Sunday learning so much.
And I would assume in some cases trying to keep up.
Yes, trying to keep up, especially at the dance on Saturday night.
Well, that's a whole different... The competitiveness takes on a whole different level at the dance.
A dance at the drill pad. Yeah, it's It's great, and it's DJ'd, and they take requests. But yeah, so by the time they get there and they get their space to stay independently, and they get their airmen, the airmen are with them the entire weekend, and we do healthy athlete screenings. We'll be doing podiatry screenings. All of this is free for our athletes to make sure that they are getting the care that they need while they're doing sports.
Well, and let's go back just a few sentences here, because I want to make sure that we stress something, because you're exactly right. We have changed in a lot of ways since the 70s when this started. And like you said, and this is what stuck out at me, when you said that, it was started out as a social thing, and then we realized that these are competitive people. That was the problem for a long time. It wasn't the competitiveness. It was looking at them as people. We had a problem with that.
Right. Absolutely.
And once you get into it and you realize they're just people.
Right. They are just people. And they're pretty incredible people. And it just requires a little patience and understanding. But they're also great athletes, and they're great ambassadors. And, in Mississippi, we have about 75,000 individuals with intellectual disabilities, and we are able to touch about 7,000 in any given year, and that's still too small. I mean,
that's not even a tenth.
No. So when we talk about inclusion, and we do events year-round across the state, big state events, not quite as big as Keesler, but big, and bringing on more colleges and universities to come alongside and play flag football with our athletes. And it's just about moving the needle on inclusion and kind of taking away the scary part of this makes me uncomfortable. And sports is a great avenue to do that.
Doing things that make you uncomfortable is the only way to grow. That's Dave's little life lesson for today. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's trying pickles on your sandwich. I don't care what it is. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, you're not growing from it.
This is true.
We do some of that here on the show on a regular basis. We make people uncomfortable, but there's a reason behind it. There's a motivation there. This is such an important thing for so many different ways, but you said that they have to qualify. You actually have qualifying rounds and matches around the state.
Yes.
Where the best of the best from each area are the ones that wind up to go here. That speaks back to what you were talking about it being a competitive event, which a lot of people don't understand.
Right. It is a competitive event. And again, it's volunteer and very grassroots driven. So we have volunteers all across the state. We're divided up into about 15, 16 local areas. And they serve as coaches, and they find people that can coach sports in their area and offer those either just to an individual with an intellectual disability or to an individual and a partner, a unified partner who doesn't have that disability, and they'll play on a team sport together. And they have to qualify. I mean, they get the rules, they get the heat sheet, and my sports director is on top of it, and he, and it gets a little competitive, and and sometimes we're not above, using a carrot instead of a stick to maybe give away extra bowling slots if volunteers get their paperwork in on time.
It's called a bribe, Monica. Let's just call it what it is. We're beating around this bush here. It's a bribe, but it's an ethical bribe.
Yeah, it's not a stick.
Yeah. A stick is a totally different thing, but I don't really know what stick you would use on a volunteer.
Exactly. So, and our volunteers are great. They can have all the carrots they want.
It's all carrot
slots,
all the time.
Bowling slots are prime.
Okay, so that's the carrot.
Yeah.
That's the big carrot. Okay, gotcha. Now, this kind of thing, you said it's at no cost to the athletes and their families. This isn't free, so how do you do this?
We work really hard to raise money, and we have amazing community partners across the state of Mississippi that support our work beyond just a donation or paycheck. So we look to companies and organizations to come alongside of us. So we invite them to events. And it's like, if you for this level of support, come be a medal presenter. Have one of our athletes who's a health messenger come speak to your company for a lunch and learn. So it's because it's beyond just what happens at the end of the 50-yard dash.
See, and I love that idea that you just threw out, and I hope everyone was paying attention. That is a fantastic idea. If you want to change the way people look at this entire situation and look at this entire group of your fellow Mississippians, invite them to come speak at a Lunch and Learn and sit there and listen.
Right.
And I guarantee you're going to have a different attitude by the end of the talk than you had before it started.
Right. And we couldn't do it without our community partners either. So we thank all of them across the state.
Can you hang on for a few minutes?
Sure.
Fantastic. We've got Monica Daniels with us. She's got a bundle of carrots, and she's looking for you if you'd like to help. We'll talk about that when we come back. About the Mississippi Special Olympics Summer Games happening next week. We will talk more about it next in the Element Wealth Studios live on SuperTalk Mississippi Middays. After Monica Daniels wins her wrestling match, this is what they immediately hit, and she gets up and she flexes for a few seconds and then climbs out of the ring and goes backstage.
Yes.
That's the way it works. Monica Daniels, President and CEO of Special Olympics Mississippi. Monica, I'm going to say something that is almost going to sound ironic because you're here and we're talking, and I'm talking about what an awesome job you guys do, but it's in some ways, from the outside looking in, it's a thankless task, but your thanks are going to come next Saturday, aren't they?
Yes,
your
absolutely.
Reward.
Oh, yes. Yes, for everyone. And it's not even, at the end of the day, everybody does want that hug at the end of the 50-yard dash. And there are so many hugs to go around from Friday afternoon to Sunday morning. There's not a dry eye anywhere. All of our volunteers are crying and hugging and line dancing on the drill pad. And I like to sneak off and go upstairs, and there's a little balcony, and I can just look down and I just see everyone dancing, just from wing commanders to master sergeants to volunteers to moms to athletes to airmen who felt uncomfortable when they first met their athlete, and that is my thing. That is my thank you. It makes all the difference in the world to me.
Well, it sounds like you're the person to ask. Who's the best dancer at Keesler?
Right. It could be some Dancing with Stars candidates out there.
You could. That could be a competition.
It could be.
I'm just saying. It's a competitive event. That could be a little fun.
We haven't gotten there yet. Cornhole will be offered at our next USA Games as a qualifying sport, as will pickleball.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
So,
that's huge right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to get into. We mentioned it very briefly talking off the air before we got started here. They have the local events where they qualified to get to the state games. Does that then serve the state games as a qualifier for people to go to the nationals, if you will?
Every 4 years, so much like the traditional Olympic model, we host as a movement national games in the United States and world games. Coming up in a month or so are World Games in Berlin, where athletes internationally compete, and that happens every 4 years. So it's almost a 2-year cycle. So the next national games that Mississippi will participate in will be in 2026 in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be competing in big puffy jackets with fur collars and everything. It's going to be cold, isn't it? When does it happen in the
June.
year?
It's in June.
Okay, that's a good choice.
It's June, because June in Orlando this past year.
Oh no,
was brutal.
Yeah, well, it could have been August.
It could have been August.
Could have been worse.
But we were again back to our community partners and our volunteers and our athletes and staff and board members. We were able to take the largest delegation in Mississippi's history, and we can't do anything less in 2026, right? So anybody hearing me, if you want to help us get there in 2026, you know where to find me. But yeah, we want to do that, and we want to bring on team sports. We were the only state in the country that brought unified boys and girls clubs teams. So we have launched a project to collaborate in the Mississippi Delta with boys and girls clubs. And we took a unified boys and girls club basketball team and a unified cheer team from the Delta. And our unified boys and girls club team won silver in the nation.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we want to do more of that. It's more inclusion, more fun.
That is perfect. Now, you mentioned something there that was the next thing I was going to bring up when you just kind of lowered your voice a little bit and said, so if you'd like to help us. There's two ways that I would suspect you could use some help, and that's financially, because we could all use financial help, but especially for a cause like this, and with time, volunteers. I would
Yes.
suspect you need
Yes.
all the volunteers that want to show up.
Yes, we do, and that's year round. That's a year round ask. So if you're in the area of Keesler and you want to volunteer over the weekend, we'd love to meet you. We'd love to say hey, and we'd love to thank you. Year round across the state, as I mentioned, local area volunteers are coaching, training athletes, and we need volunteers. We have pockets. I don't know what the correct terminology is post-COVID, what we call that, but this is where we are, and it is a rebuilding, and it's bringing people back, and our numbers are starting to come back on the athlete side, which is fantastic, but we have to match that on the volunteer side.
And that's always the challenge.
Right.
Because everybody is busy. And I do want to specify, I want to make sure while we're talking about volunteers, and you said if you're by Keesler and you want to come out and help, great. It's next weekend. It's not in 2 days. It's next weekend.
Yeah. It's next weekend.
The 12th through the 14th, right?
Yes.
That's the official date. So
yes.
If anybody is listening and said, oh, wait, no, I could do that. Well, I just want to make sure we got the right weekend so that you can go ahead and put it on your calendar.
Have time to think about it.
What kind of process do they need to go through if someone wants to volunteer? Do they just show up? Do they need to contact you?
I mean, it is a military base, so
well, yeah. If they show up, they're not getting in. That's a good point.
Don't show up. Yes, we have online. You can visit our website. You can just give us a call. There is a volunteer coordinator at Keesler too, and Keesler is launching an app for the games. And I mean, if you want to be plugged in, we can plug you in.
It's very simple to get involved.
It is.
It's very hard to get uninvolved because once you do it once, you're going to want to keep doing it.
That is true.
It's kind of like eating corn chips. After you have that first couple, you're going to finish the bag because they're very moreish once you get started. Same thing applies here because the rewards aren't financial. The rewards aren't anything other than that feeling you're going to have when you go home once it's over.
Right.
That's the reward.
That absolutely is.
And trust me, you're gonna feel overpaid.
Yes.
By the time it's done, you really are.
I do every time.
Yeah, that's the way. Well, you've been doing this a minute.
I've been in the nonprofit world for almost 30 years. I've been with Special Olympics almost 8. Yeah.
So she started all this when she was just 6 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. Amazing.
Just play along. So you can get a hold at the website. What's the website again?
SpecialOlympicsMississippi.org.
Just go there. You can find all the information.
You can find information on our website, how to get involved, how to become a volunteer, how to register as an athlete. And, if you want to come see us, we're on the second floor of the Fondren Corner building, right above Roosters.
Now, let me ask you this. We've talked about volunteering, which is huge. That's what drives this entire thing. If someone literally does not have the time, but they want to help, what can they do?
They can
write a check.
Yes, they can.
They can write. She didn't want to say it, so I had to go ahead and say it for her. You can write a check, sign it at the bottom.
Yes,
that's important.
You can do that. You can give me a call personally. You can find me on the website. If you are a leader of an organization, you have a young professionals group that wants to get involved and raise money, or you as an organization want to get involved, call me and we can make that happen. We can. We have employees at some of our community partners who play golf with our athletes. So they're actually unified partners. That's the fun part of writing the check. I can make it really fun for you when you write the check.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be, a streamer. There's going to be confetti, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And again, though, the reward that you're going to get, even if you are just writing a check, it's not about promotion. That's a benefit, yes. It's not about what you're doing. It's not about a write-off or anything else. It's what you're going to know that you're helping. And I would recommend anybody that's on the fence about whether or not to donate, just show up next weekend, not as a volunteer.
Right. Oh, we need fans in the stands.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. Yeah, we need fans in the stands at all of our state level events. We need people to cheer them on. And they're good quality events, so you'll enjoy it.
And that's the thing. Show up to, even if it's one of the local events. Show up. Watch what happens. You don't have to get involved. You don't have to say anything to anybody. You will, but you don't have to. Just show up and watch, and then you'll get it. Until you do that, you're not really going to fully get it. Is that a fair statement, you think?
Yes. If you want to truly understand inclusion, you have to include yourself in the narrative, even if it makes you uncomfortable.
Including yourself as part of inclusion. Now this is graduate level stuff here, Monica.
You got to take that step and say, I can have this conversation with someone that is different from me. I can initiate that. I can be the driver of inclusion. And that, at the end of the day, with sports as our vehicle, what Special Olympics Mississippi is about breaking down the barriers of exclusivity.
The Summer Games next weekend at Keesler Air Force Base, the 12th through the 14th, as Monica very correctly corrected me on. Don't just show up. It is a military base. There are steps here. Let's not have another Kremlin here.
Right.
But, please make plans to attend. If you can, volunteer. If you can, donate. What's the website one more time?
SpecialOlympicsMississippi.org.
Say, is Mississippi spelled out, or is it just MS?
It'll take you there. You can spell it out if you want to type, but you can stop at ms.org and you'll go right there.
Monica Daniels, enjoyed it. And
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Have fun next weekend.
I will. Thank you.